Well, it didn't change my mind. I just got back from watching James Gunn's Superman, and overall, I was rather unimpressed. It felt pretty meh to me, but I'm being upfront by letting you know I went into this not really expecting to enjoy it all that much. I didn't outright hate it. It was just, I'll give you the basic premise, and then I'll dive into the things that didn't really work for me too much and some of the things that did. Try to remember some of the things that did. The basic premise is this is like 3 years after Superman has announced he's there, he's Superman, he's doing this, saving the world and everything. And the movie opens up with the fact that he has just gotten his butt kicked. That's the scene in the trailer where he's lying on the snow. You don't see the battle that has happened, but it lets you know he's gotten his butt kicked. That's when he calls Krypto to come bring him back to the fortress and everything. It's basically a Lex Luthor Superman story. Lex Luthor is in here, as you know. I was fairly unimpressed with Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I was unimpressed with the whole film, you guys, okay? But I don't despise it, it's kind of weird. There were some characters in here I liked more than others. There was at least one in here I liked who I wish we had seen more of this person, and that was... Hold on, because I don't even remember who the hell he was. My brother just told me who he was, too. Okay, my favorite character in here was Mr. Terrific. I'd rather have watched a Mr. Terrific movie than this movie, to be honest. I like James Gunn's other movies for the most part. I liked his Guardians movies. He wrote this in addition to directing it, so it's got, like his spin, his style, his flair, his twist to it, whatever. I absolutely hated the Superman suit. I thought it was terrible. I could tell from the trailers that I wasn't going to like it. It looked like David Corenswet. He's a really big guy, and I know he worked out to get into the shape that he got for this film, but the suit doesn't even demonstrate that. Like, it looks like it's something with padding. What's the point of working your ass off to get big if the suit can't even show that you have put in the effort? No, it was terrible. I don't like the design of the original Superman suit. I don't like the Christopher Reeve Superman suit. I like the Man of Steel one. Yes, I am biased in favor of Zack Snyder's version of Superman. When the Christopher Reeve movies came out, they were okay. I mean, I liked them when I was a kid. Now I can't tolerate watching them. Man of Steel kind of spoiled me and also his appearance in the other movies, but it spoiled me because Superman has never really been a comic book character that I have really liked. He's been rather boring to me. He's so overpowered, and he's just kind of a blah character. When Man of Steel came along with Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder, that made an impression on me because it presented him in a way that made him more interesting, made him more compelling. And I liked that representation of him much more. This representation of Superman harkens back to that original, the Reeve Superman movies. So if you're a big fan of those, you will probably enjoy this. If you're a normie, you will probably enjoy this. If you really love Man of Steel, you might not. If you really like that portrayal of Superman, you might not. So yeah, I admit going into this with bias. And that is largely because I'm still pretty pissed about the way Henry Cavill was treated. I'm aggravated at the fact that James Gunn came in there and he scrapped all these other characters, but kept ones that still included the presence of his wife, which is annoying. There is a cameo in here that was kind of funny, got some chuckles. Krypto, if you like dogs, you'll probably like it. I mean, his scenes were okay, but it just didn't do anything for me. There were one or two moments that I did enjoy. By the way, the thing about the monkeys and the social media bot stuff, yes, that thing about the monkeys is true. Stupid. Some of the lines in here were stupid. Hey buddy, eyes up here. So dumb. I couldn't. And then when he sees that Krypto has trashed his little ice palace, he's like, what the hey, dude? Stupid. Goofy. I didn't like those moments. I liked it when it was a bit more serious, but then that would be offset generally by this humor that would be inserted in, the James Gunn humor. There was another character I liked too. The character of Green Lantern. His haircut was terrible. looked absolutely awful, the suit and everything. They do address the haircut, which got a chuckle because it's god awful. But I did like the way Nathan Fillion played his character. He was kind of funny. There was also a moment in here that was pretty touching to me, and it was a moment that was between Clark and his human father. I appreciated that. It got me a little bit in the feels because, you know, parenthood. And then there's also another moment where Superman is looking at videos of his human family, and that was sweet because, you know, it gets you in the parenthood feels. Parents can identify with this sentiment. Most parents anyway. I wasn't overly impressed with Hawk Girl. She didn't look a bit like the Hawk Girl that I remember from the comics. And she also didn't look like she put in much effort to make herself look physically like someone who could kick your ass. So yeah, Mr. Terrific, like I said, he was great. I would definitely be down to watch a movie with that character in it because there is a scene with him that was great. That was one of the best fighting scenes in the whole movie. All the other fighting scenes involving Superman didn't really do much of anything for me. Yeah. I do like, though, also that they address the whole issue of, you know, Clark Kent wearing glasses and how could that fool anybody? They explain how it can fool somebody. So I like that. I don't remember if I've seen that explanation in any other Superman before. And I haven't read enough Superman to know whether this is something that's been mentioned in the comics, but I like that touch because, come on, we do need an explanation. It's obvious that Clark Kent is Superman to anyone with eyeballs, you know, but whatever. As far as the whole furor that got started over comments that James Gunn made about what this film was about as far as immigration and stuff, I didn't read his actual comments, so I don't know if that was something that was taken wildly out of context. It might not have been, but I would say that, yes, you could find some messaging in here. There is a conversation between Lex and Superman, and Lex indicates the reason that he, you know, why he hates Superman so much. He's an alien, you know, and then Superman's, I'm just as human as you. I love, I have fear, I have happiness and blah, 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 you know. So you could see some sort of potential messaging there. I guess, you know, maybe that was intentional. It probably was, but it wasn't anything that felt to me like it was this huge hammer on the head sort of smacking you over the head with it. It felt organic to the story because that sort of thing was present also in the issues involving Henry Cavill's Superman, you know, and why there was so much distrust of him in his movies. So, you know, I didn't really find a huge complaint about that, but I guess if you want to nitpick at it, you could. But as far as the story, you know, it was okay. The story was all right. Rachel Brosnahan, she's okay. She doesn't do a ton for me as an actor. She's just all right. I wasn't overly wowed with her as Lois Lane. I wasn't offended with her as like she didn't do anything wrong to make me not like her in the role. She's just an actor that she doesn't inspire a lot of, oh yes, I definitely want to see this because she's in it. She's just all right. You know, she's one of those types for me. David Corenswet, I've kind of already touched on him. I guess he did the best he could with the material that he had, but I'm not overly impressed with him in this role. He's cute, you know, he's got this adorable little face and everything, but some of the lines that he had to deliver were just a bit, I don't know, just it didn't work for me. I think, like I said, because it's harkening back to that other version of Superman, the version of Superman from, I guess, the golden age of comics, 70s, early 80s, whatever, that people seem to love and act like that's the only version of Superman that ever existed. And people were so angry that Superman killed someone in Man of Steel. Superman has killed people in the comics before and has allowed people to die. And also people being mad that Batman had a gun in Zack Snyder's movies. Batman used to have a gun. So those complaints to me are ridiculous. I guess if you zero in on the version of Superman you like the best, and if this aligns with that, you will probably enjoy this film. You know, I'm not going to rate this overly high because I'm not in love with it, but I also can't one-star it like I did a recent movie that I saw because I don't think it was the worst film I've ever seen, but it's just mid to me. It's okay. It's all right. It'll probably do pretty well this weekend. People seem to really take to the dog. The kids will love the dog. Some of the scenes with the dog were, you know, humorous, whatever. It was all digital. It was fairly well done for digital, but you could tell it was a digital dog. It wasn't real. Something I forgot to mention in my video review was the flying shots. I remember when the first teaser or trailer came out, there was a lot of flack about that fishbowl look in the flying shots, and unfortunately, it's still a thing. The flying shots looked absolutely horrible. The scene where he's running across the football field and tackles somebody he's fighting, which showed up in a recent trailer, looked terrible as well. Another thing was that there had been a lot of talk about his slogan, you know, how it's supposed to be truth, justice, and the American way. And people were saying that instead of that, he says truth, justice, in the human way. I don't recall ever hearing him say that in this film. In fact, truth, justice, and the American way wasn't even mentioned at all. So that was either something that was cut or that was just a bit of news stuff that was put out there to stir people up. You know how it goes. Also, there are 2 post-credit scenes. One that shows up a little bit after the credits have started. It's not very long. The other one is all the way at the very end of the credits. Neither one of these scenes are important to the plot of the story or any sort of indications or promises about whatever other potential DC movies are coming out. So, you know, if you want to hang around for them just for the heck of it, go ahead. But if you leave, you're not really missing anything. Okay, back to the video. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to say right now about Superman. I took notes, and I'm kind of referring to the notes here, but I didn't even try to organize them or come up with a list of coherent thoughts to outline to go down with my thoughts. We will be discussing this movie more this Sunday in the Los Cinematicos show at Latino Slant, 5 p.m. Eastern. D Movie Man and Anthony Perez will be joining me. I kind of feel like I already know what Anthony thinks about the film, but I haven't watched his review. I haven't watched anyone else's reviews because I wanted to go in this movie with as clean of a slate as possible, despite my pre-existing annoyance at this whole film and the whole James Gunn thing and all of that. So now I will check out what people think and just kind of think about things, and we'll hash it out on Sunday, and I hope you guys will join us for that discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for now, you guys. Hasta luego.